I can feel her warmth. A star. They didn't speak again for some time. Guilleme cleared his throat. I was an orphan too, much like you. I know what it feels like to lose too much. I wandered for a long time before I found anything to live for. Were you alone? Sometimes, Rosa nodded. Did you have family? Guilleme shifted uncomfortably. No, they left me behind. I never knew them. Much of my memory of it is blurred. I was taken in by kind people once before, but Guilleme sighed and Rosa observed a certain disquiet in him. I didn't belong. But you have no difficulty mingling with people? I think of that as a necessity rather than a preference. But either way, it can be tiresome after a while. Things don't last. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I'm making the mood worse. I'm sorry. I don't mind. Guilleme had never opened up to her about his past before, and it worried Rosa how little she actually knew about him. Anyway, would you like to go around town? I'd very much like to take you someplace more cheery. How about our favourite spot? Guilleme smiled with understanding. The pair travelled up a hill at the edge of the town. There the view overlooked the quaint village. The sunset painted everything in the pink glow of dusk, of endings. It is always so beautiful here. They used to spend time in this grassy knoll, the three of them. It was their own little hideaway. Going back to it must be somewhat grim. It doesn't look like Rosa or Guilleme's taking it particularly well. Memories of the past crept up on every corner. The ghost of laughter echoed in the wind. Rosa touched the trunk of the small tree they had carved their names on. So many fond memories. Rosa, I want you to have this. Put your trousers back. Oh, it says hand, sorry. Guilleme took Rosa's hand and placed an item in her palm. It was a simple silver locket. She looked at him questionably. I have had that for as long as I can remember. One of my remembrances of the past. I can't take this. You must. You need it more than I do. But it's old and the locket doesn't even open anymore. I don't know why I've held on for it for so long. I can't even remember how I came to have it. But it comforts me. Maybe it will have the same effect for you. This is your treasure, Guilleme. It feels wrong to take it. On the contrary, I believe you must have it. Call it a hunch or a feeling, an urge on my part. I'm not good with expressing sorrow or even giving comfort, but I want to do something at least for you. He closed his hand over hers, affirming the gift. It's yours. Please take it. You're wrong if you think I am letting you stay in the castle simply for Catherine's sake. I do it of my own accord. Let me do this for you, Rosa. We have been friends for quite a while. If you need to leave, at least stay until you feel ready to go. All right, but I will continue working in your household for my lodging. You don't have to do that. I can raise your status to a lady. You can read and write now, and very well. I'm sure we'll be more comfortable in a higher position. I have no need for higher position, just free access to your library. You have come a long way from the shy girl back then, Rosa. Watching you grow has been a pleasure. Yes, the library is yours. They were quiet for a while, only conversing through looks, smiles, and tiny sighs. Rosa realised that she had been holding on to Guilleme's hand all that time. She broke off from his hold, rather embarrassed. We should head back. You're right, it's getting late. Guilleme walked over to the carriage to get it ready. That's only one choice. Oh, it's not even a choice. It's just saying something. Excellent, child. Being a maid in his household will give you free access to the rooms. He trusts you completely. It seems that the candle worked. I guess so. Rosa looked at the silver necklace in her hand. She fiddled with it, trying to open the lock. He says it doesn't even open, so, I mean, he sort of just gave it to us freely, didn't he? Let's try and open it. Open that locket. I'd like to see what's inside. An object that he owns will make any enchantment more powerful. Rosa fussed with the pendant for a while, but like Guilleme said, it was stuck. I'll try again later, Mother. I'm rather curious about it myself. The spell will start its effect in stages, gradually uncovering his true face. Fondness first, then trust. Familiarity. Rosa sighed. But was that spell necessary at all? Didn't she already have that with Guilleme? Rosa bit her lip, remembering the warmth of his hand. They had known each other for a long time. It was rather comforting to have someone to mourn with. However, Rosa did find it strange that Guilleme rarely even mentioned Catherine anymore. It was as if he was shedding her off like skin. Again, the taste of blood in her throat resurfaced. The memory of needles made her stomach lurch. Since her friend had died, the Marquis had begun spending all his hours locked in his office. He barely showed himself socially, rarely even attended meals. But they were casting a powerful spell, something that might harm Guilleme. What if he was, after all, innocent? She had years of good memories with him. What was she even expecting to find out? Exactly how could she live with the guilt of 2 dead friends? Rosa sighed. She cared for him. Despite all the suspicion, she knew that much. But Mother was adamant. 3 candles for 3 lovers, a fitting curse for a man who frolics in love's domain. Storage, the love for familiars. Philia, the love for friends. And Eros, the love for lust. Open his heart with storage, unmask him with Philia, and strike him down with Eros. Yet Rosa kept a 4th candle. One she had named Agape. Unconditional love. She didn't know whether she would ever use it. Mother, of course, would object. But just in case Eros successfully struck Guilleme, she wished to light Agape. At least give him peace, but before... Rosa walked towards Guilleme, a pang of anxiousness biting at her. Rise, my daughter. The work lays ahead. To bring him down, we must find his weakness, then we attack. His due punishment will be swift, my dear daughter. Do it for Mother. We're fucking evil. We are playing the perfect character to be smiting people with. Chapter 4, Metamorphoses. The 2nd candle is lit. Its name is Philia, the love for friends. The yellow candle shone and danced with her breath. Let this candle burn until its wick is spent. Encourage friendship. Bring forth memories. Let me walk in his halls without any suspicion. Let me rummage through his belongings invisibly. His journal. He guards his journal fiercely. I must find it. Fucking evil, man, I told you. Rosa adjusted her coat as she sat on one of the reserved seats in this apparently empty theatre. The theatre was packed. No, it's not. The air buzzed with excitement. She hadn't realised this many people would come tonight. Oh, Mother, I wish they would stop staring at me. And why not? This is Madame Catherine Paris's first solo concerto. Her name had slowly been gathering recognition the past few years. It was feasible to expect a full house. Still, the turnout was more than they had expected. Paris had taken Rosa and Catherine by surprise. The sheer number of people and their liveliness were well above the usual sights of their small town. Catherine was obviously thrilled with the opportunity to play in such an esteemed venue for her debut. Rosa tried her best to keep her anxiety under control. This was for Catherine. Yes, for her. This was her night. Rosa took a deep breath and released it slowly. It relaxed her. I hope the show starts soon. Rosa's eyes I said eyes. How terribly insensitive of me. Drifted towards the stage and then to a throng of people gathered on her far left. In the middle of the huddle stood a familiar shape of a man. He had his back to her, but the posture and build were unmistakable. That is Guilleme. Her heart made a sudden, gleeful jump. She was delighted that he had made it to Catherine's show. How do you not know this? He had been travelling extensively recently. What if she walked over and made sure? Guilleme would greet her kindly. She was sure Catherine would be thrilled to know that he was here. Or would she? Rosa pondered for a bit, reminded of a sudden wince of pain. So hang on, had Catherine died or did Emily die? Because we're now back in the future, aren't we? We'll find out at some point. Soon... I thought I remembered something, but I clearly didn't. Soon the Master of Ceremonies obliged people to take their seats. Guilleme turned around and walked towards her. He stopped midway and took a seat without noticing her presence. Rosa seemed deep in thought. What's wrong, sweetheart? Is something bothering you? Nothing, Mother. Don't lie to me. I just didn't expect to see him here, that's all. Oh, I see. Is it the same problem, isn't it? Does Guilleme's presence upset you? Are you worried about Catherine now that he's here? That one. I'm definitely that one. That filthy man again. I'm sure Catherine will be pleased. Whatever will she think now that her lover is back? Bet she would rather spend all her time with him as usual, my poor darling, always running after her star. I wonder how long until she is tired of you constantly tagging along. You brag to me that you share everything like sisters. Does that include Guilleme too? Oh, you are making your life so complicated, darling. Why don't you even bother yourself with these people? It is obvious he's never going to look at you. It is obvious she will abandon you. Fuck. That's two different things completely. That is not the same. Both are bad, though. It's obvious he's never going to pay attention to you. It is obvious she will abandon you. Okay, we're going to use the old school technique of close my eyes. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a nigger by its toe. If it scribbles, let it go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, so the top one. None of those answers seemed right. Do you like being so miserable? It saddens me to see you like this. He has only eyes for Catherine. Must you always impose your presence like a little dog? It's not like that, Mother. We're friends. Friends? Darling, friendship is nothing but a shallow kind of relationship. People change friends as easily as the weather. You don't even remember the friends you make at a certain age. Friendships do not last. Family is more important. That one, that's a bit more open-ended. I'm the only one who will care for you forever, darling. A mother's love will endure. This bond can never be broken by time or absence. Family lifts you up. It saves. Of course you feel this way. You see them often. But when you lose touch, you're left with nothing but a collection of strangers. And believe me, my dear, they will leave. They always leave. You amuse them now, but soon they will abandon you too. Rosa's tongue felt bitter in her mouth. She was filled with annoyance for her mother. Wasn't happiness as fleeting as friendship? Yet it was not any less real than sadness. Yes, family was important. These familial bonds kept her from losing herself. It was her rock, her foundation. But were these bonds the only constant value? These friends? These were people who accepted her? They shared laughter and tears, their own regrets and dreams. In her heart, she had found a home with them. What more was needed? Rosa's confused feelings began to arrange themselves neatly in her mind. Guilleme's and Catherine's happiness was important to her. That was the main thing. She knew they felt the same way for her. Her insecurities were real, but they were insignificant. If anything, they were bittersweet. She had no regrets. For the first time in her life, she wanted to talk back to Mother. She bit her lip, quelling the nerves as she opened her mouth to speak. I know that. What? I know that Catherine matters more to him than I do. I know they might abandon me one day for whatever reason. It might be today or next year or even sooner. But that doesn't matter in the long run. I am happy with them. We've had years together that I will treasure. Like I treasure memories of you too, Mother. My memories of you keep me sustained. That is why I love you. The years we spent together, no matter how fleeting, are still worth something. So let me care for them right now. Everything changes, but nothing is lost. Rosa was sure she had read it somewhere. Rosa waited for Mother to answer with a vicious voice to burst out screaming at her cheekiness. But no voice came. Rosa smiled to herself, and the lights dimmed. A low hush descended on the pews. I wonder if she's going to cock this up or not. I'm sort of feeling that she's just going to see Guilleme and cock it up. Soon Catherine entered, clad in the loveliest gown and an even lovelier smile. She was beautiful. She belonged on the stage. The light shone on her, but they paled in comparison to her radiance. Catherine bowed to the audience. Bowed? What the fuck is wrong with you? I'm going French. Jesus. Ugh. Bowed to the audience and took a seat in front of the piano. She began to play. Fuck me, that's sad. What's that? Oh, there we go. Sounds like a very, very depressing thing of like happy birthday. Rosa gripped the handle of her seat. Oh. It's got a bit quicker. She felt surges of emotion with every note, that kind of energy that passed through her, touching her skin and making her break into goosebumps. Oh, Catherine. Rosa hadn't known of such an effect before this moment. Music that could strike the heart as if it was fiddling with the soul. It was different from practice. different from when she was performing in front of smaller groups. This was a stage, and here was a woman with strings. She was tugging the right keys, touching your heart and electrifying your soul. Rosa realised she wasn't alone in this feeling. The whole room was mesmerised. She looked at the lady beside her seat. She had a hand to her open mouth. A teardrop dangled precariously on her eye. The man to her left seemed to have forgotten to blink. Rosa beamed and savoured a rush to kinship with them. They were experiencing the same emotions with her. It made her love them just a little bit. Rosa closed her eyes and savoured the night. A bit of sweat fell from Catherine's chin. She was out of her body now. Her stress from the beginning of the show had thawed and turned into passion. It ran down her fingers to the keys. It did not escape Catherine's notice that most people in the crowd came to the show to gawk at her. Catherine Paride, the one that the infamous Marquise de Gaulle had been courting for years. Didn't he pay for this event, lucky broad? Catherine Paride, I heard she was some pianist. Any good? Who knows? Must be. If even that Marquis is chasing her. Catherine Paride, some female pianist. Pretty face, nice flesh on her. Let us watch her show. Her fingers caressed the keys, playing them with the force of her heart. Did she play to prove them wrong? Her music saturated the theatre with her fervour. No, not to prove them wrong, to set it right. Catherine Paride is my name. I am more than just a pretty face, and I am playing this piece for you. It is my gift. Let me touch your soul. Rosa felt her eye get moist. This was Catherine's heart transcribed into music, all energy and beauty with the strength of the wind. The mischief of a sudden gale that whips at ladies' skirts and tips gentlemen's hats. The cold breeze that carried the loneliness of the coming winter. Everyone in the audience felt it. Rosa searched for Guilleme's face in the darkness. She couldn't see him clearly, but it didn't matter. She knew what he was feeling. She felt it too. Rosa's heart began to ache. It was a sting she didn't know how to name. Heartache? Lover's jealousy? After the show, Rosa greeted Catherine in her backstage dressing room. She was smothered with flowers from the audience. Christ, you've gotten older. Sweat glistened in her forehead. Catherine gave her a tight hug. Congratulations, Kath. You were marvellous on stage. Thank you, Rosie. Catherine covered her cheeks with her hands. I'm still shaking. The excitement from the stage hasn't left. Look at my hands. Oh dear. So I would call this show a success, yes? Pour the champagne, chérie. It is a night to remember. Catherine and Rosa hugged again. Let me just finish up here, Rosa, then we'll celebrate properly. Two young, ravishing ladies sampling the best of what Paris has to offer. I like it. Rosa laughed. Just don't let go of my hand. You might get lost being so starry-eyed. She was teasing, but smiling brightly all at the same time. I would never. Anyway, shall I meet you outside in a few minutes? Very well, I'll see you later. Rosa was thankful to leave the backstage area. She'd almost forgotten her anxiety during the show, but the backstage was an ill reminder of the crowd. She looked forward to the night ahead, wondering vaguely why she hadn't mentioned Guilleme's presence to Kath. She shrugged it off. It had simply slipped her mind, that's all. I sense jealousy knocking. Do you? It's pretty obvious, isn't it?